Hi, everyone. Welcome to our 18th family meeting. For those of you who tuned in live earlier tonight, thank you so much. We had about 300 folks log in. And for those of you who are tuning in now, thank you for viewing the YouTube channel. So what's on the agenda tonight? We're going to talk about that last week of school in 2021, and we're going to talk a little bit about what's coming up the first week of school in 2022. I have some DOE updates, some UAG updates, and just some general questions that a lot of you were asking via email. So first things first, how did we close out 2021, that last week of school? So on Monday, the 20th, our attendance was around like 87, 88% for students, and we had 15 staff members out, which for us is a lot. By Thursday, so that's the last day of school before break, our student attendance was like 14%, and we had 23 staff members out. So from the 17th up until right before the family meeting tonight, we had 32 confirmed positives in the community that we know of. And actually, since the meeting, there have been several others. I just haven't had a chance to look through the text chat or the emails to see how many more. From those cases, we had 406 students who were identified as close contacts. And when I mean close contacts, I mean from the original few that we started with. I think we started with like 5 or 6 cases. And so from those 5 or 6 cases, that's how many students were identified as close contacts. And that's how the additional positives started coming up. Actually, it's probably like 8 or 9 cases originally. And so that kind of shows you how quickly you can become a close contact just from a handful of individuals testing positive. All in all, last week was a mess, but we made the best of it. I know that on Thursday after lunch, there was just a huge shift to doing a Hollygate COVID style. Only 2 or 3 kids were in each class. A lot of teachers were out. And so we combined classes, and kids either played board games, did some arts and crafts, some played ping pong, but we just took the time to enjoy each other and enjoy the time that we had with the few folks that were in the building. But in terms of instruction, there's very little to no instruction happening on that last day in the building, just because so few kids were in there. A lot of you were frustrated that you were notified so late of being a close contact. To give you a little bit of context as to why, some of the positives, although they were from Friday the 17th, that's not because we received the positives on Friday the 17th. Several individuals didn't feel well. They got tested either that Friday or over the weekend. And currently the tests have been taking so long to come back that they didn't receive that test result until Monday the 20th. And so if you were notified Monday the 20th or Tuesday the 21st, you were actually notified really quickly. It's just that the turnaround for the tests is so long that even though we're finding out right away, that test is actually from several days back. And these positives were not from surveillance testing. These were from individuals testing on their own. So what is 2022 going to look like? Unfortunately, it looks very familiar to 2021, but there are going to be a couple of changes. Now, the things that I'm going to go through are DOE's sort of updates, what they're promising. And so the DOE is taking this stance of stay safe, stay open. And these are some of the measures that they'll be taking in order to maintain the safety and make sure schools stay open. So the first thing that they're promising is at-home test kits. If you've seen anything on the news, you're probably hearing a lot about this, that schools are going to be getting tons and tons of at-home COVID tests. We have received our tests, so yes, we have. However, the big misconception is that every single student, when they walk into the building on the first day, January 3rd, will receive a test to take home. That is not the case. So these tests are to be distributed to students who are identified as close contacts or are exhibiting symptoms of COVID-19 in school. And so, for example, previously, if you felt sick, you would be sent to the nurse's office, and she would just say, oh, you look sick, you should go get tested, and send you home. And now she'll be able to give you an at-home test kit to use to test yourself. Another change is that you're going to get this if you're a close contact. Previously, if you're a close contact, you just received an email from me with a letter, or you got a phone call from the Department of Health and they gave you instructions. And so now if you're identified as a close contact, you will also be getting this at-home test. But we're not supposed to distribute the mass to everyone because we just wouldn't have enough tests if we did that. All staff are going to receive one test kit per week in January. So they did say that. In terms of the KN95 masks, you might have heard on the news as well, they're saying that over 1 million masks were shipped to schools. We did receive some masks. However, these masks are not intended for students. So it's not like they send us thousands to give out to kids every day. These masks are to be given out to DOE staff. And we only have enough to give one mask per teacher per week. And so the recommendation from the DOE is to use these masks for at least 5 days. In terms of for students, we do have tons of masks. We have surgical masks, and we do recommend that you wear 2 masks to school. That's the current guideline, and a KN95 or an N95 if you have one. Of course, if we have extra KN95s, I will gladly give them to any kids who want them. And we'll be ordering some additional ones, but there's some shipping delays right now, so hopefully we'll get them soon. Now, in terms of this increased surveillance testing, the buzz is we're testing twice as many kids. And that is absolutely true. They will be testing twice as many kids. So every single week, the DOE comes to our school to test 10% of the unvaccinated students, which for us is 12 students. So each week we test 12 students. Now they're going to double that amount. So for us, that means we're testing 24 students. So it's not a lot, but it's better than 12. The good change is previously they were only testing unvaccinated students. However, now they're going to be testing vaccinated students as well, as long as you have a consent on file. So to provide consent, all you have to do is complete the online form in your New York City schools account, or you can just return the signed paper form to school. Many of you already turned this in, even those who are vaccinated, so you don't have to worry about this. And the next update is regarding the new quarantine rules. So there will no longer be classroom closures for close contacts. For students in kindergarten through grade 12, unvaccinated or not yet fully vaccinated students who were in close proximity to a positive case will no longer have to quarantine and will continue attending school if they do not have symptoms and do not have a positive test result from a COVID test. So basically now, if you're a student or an adult in a classroom where there was a confirmed positive, you're going to receive a take-home rapid test kit, and you're going to be asked to take 2 tests over the course of 5 days. And so the recommendation is to take one that first day and then take the second one on day 5, because the virus has an incubation period of about 3 days. So again, if you're in your class and somebody tests positive, whether you're vaccinated or not, if you test positive, then you quarantine. And if you have symptoms, you stay home and you get tested. But if you do not have symptoms and do not have a positive test result from a COVID test, then you do come to school. In terms of the guidelines for how long is the quarantine is 10 days for students and it has been now changed to 5 days for staff. So what are the UAG measures that we're taking, right? We talked about the DOE measures, but what about our own measures? So many of you have asked, can I do remote learning? Unfortunately, we don't have any remote learning. The DOE is not allowing remote learning, and we just don't have the capacity to have teachers both teach in person and online. There's not enough staff. We need twice the staff. It's what we did last year, and it was very, very difficult. However, most of the kids were online, so it made it a little bit easier. Right now, with the constant changes, there's just no way we're going to have that capacity. But what we do have the capacities to post all of our work on Google Classroom. And so teachers will be posting all of the work on Google Classroom daily for at least the next month. We're doing this because we really don't know how many kids will be out due to COVID. And as I speak right now, I'm getting tons of emails from kids. And so it's really important that we're able to, maintain the information online so you can access it. However, it's not going to be a Zoom class. It's not going to be a videotape lesson. It's not going to be Zoom Gold. It won't be instruction. It'll be more the electronic version of what teachers are providing inside the classroom. So yeah, absolutely. It's going to be really challenging to do some of the work because you weren't there for the lesson. We completely understand that. And UAG teachers, they are the best. And so if you're on quarantine, when you come back, I'm certain every teacher will be willing to work with you during Gold or after school, or just give you an extension on any of the work that you need and allow you to resubmit it. Now, some teachers will be offering Zoom office hours, and this is something they're doing on their own accord. So if you stay home and you're sick and you have a teacher that's offering Zoom office hours, please take advantage of this. The second measure that we're taking is around mask wearing. So in the past, sort of the protocol was that if a student did not wear a mask, we had multiple conversations with them. Then afterwards, we would have a meeting, we'd have the parent come up, and ultimately, if nothing worked, a suspension was issued. Well, guess what? The suspensions don't work either. What really works is that immediate consequence, and for you to understand how important it is that you wear a mask. Especially now with Omicron, as contagious as it is and as quickly as it spreads, as we saw in the last week of school, it's really important that each and every student and staff member and person in the building is wearing a mask. And that means a proper mask. So not a gaiter, not a bandana, not a ski mask, not a vented mask, a proper mask. And so what I'm going to say now, and I'm going to say it over and over and over again, if you refuse to wear a proper mask properly, we will call your parents and ask them to come pick you up. Being in the building unmasked is a risk to both you, your family, our entire school community, and their family. And so please wear a proper mask properly. Many of you asked, should I stay home, right? And so the symptoms of COVID-19, specifically Omicron, are really varied. Some folks are not getting any symptoms at all. And so it could be anything from sneezing to sore throat, to cough, to body aches, to fatigue, to runny nose, to high fever, to, the traditional symptoms of loss of smell and taste, or it can be absolutely nothing. However, if you are sick, stay home and get tested. Don't come to school sick, because guess what? Either way, if you're coming to school sick, we're most likely going to send you home. So just stay home and get tested. Now, what happens if you stay home? So if you stay home, your work is going to be posted on Google Classroom. Again, there's not going to be a Zoom class to attend, and there's not going to be videos, but the work will be posted on Google Classroom. And I'm going to ask one more thing. If you're going to be absent, either you or your parents should send an email to absent@uagateway.org. Please be specific as to why you're absent. So currently the DOE is saying that the only way that you can have an absence coded as a waived COVID absence is either if you are on mandatory quarantine or if you tested positive. And so for us, we're asking that you please send us the test results. Now, the test results could be a rapid test, a PCR, an at-home test result, whatever it is, send us the results so we can document it to make sure that the absence is not on your record and it's changed to a COVID absence. Now, what should you email when you email absent UA Gateway? So be specific, put your ID number in the subject and just explain why you're homesick. Don't just say, I'm not coming in today. Let us know what your symptoms are. Let us know how you're feeling. And again, if you have that test result, attach it to the email. And I always recommend emailing your teachers on Jupyter as well, just so they're in the loop. Now, when do you come back? This is when we got to do a little bit of math. So you return 10 days after the day you took the COVID test that became positive, and it's 5 days for staff. So for example, let's say you felt sick on the 27th, right? You felt sick on the 27th, you went and got tested on the 27th, but because there's a delay in testing, you didn't get that test result until the 30th. You got the result on the 30th and it was positive. You can return 10 days after the 27th. So if you take a look at the count, that would mean you could come back on Thursday the 10th. Now the exception to that, sorry, not Thursday 10th, Thursday the 6th, January 6th, which is the 10th day. Now the exception to that is if you took a second test on the 5th day. So let's say on day 5, you took a second test and now you actually came back negative. So in that case, you can return on day 8. You do not need a negative test result in order to come back to the building. A lot of people are experiencing getting positive test results for up to 30 to 60 days after the initial positive. So that's why you don't need that negative test result. You just need to have quarantined for 10 days. The health screener, when in doubt, is going to determine if you can enter the building or not. It was just updated. So completely new questions and answers. So please make sure that you log on and do the health screening bright and early, way before you leave your house. Because again, if you fail that health screening, we want to make sure that you're not coming all the way to school only to have to turn back around. So before you leave in the morning, just complete the health screening to see if you're able to enter the building. If you fail the health screening, please stay home. It doesn't make sense for you to come in and possibly become more sick or get others sick. So what questions do you have? If there are any questions that you have that are particular to your circumstances, please email me or email Ms. Diaz, and we will do our best to get back to you as quickly as possible. One of the questions that we received was around the accuracy of the at-home tests. It's varied. Some people are saying that they're not that accurate against Omicron, while other media outlets are saying they are. So it really, really depends. I don't know the science, but I have heard they're not as accurate. How do you submit an at-home test? Well, all you have to do is take a picture of the test and send me a picture, and just make sure that when you take a picture, you have like the date showing up top. Usually if you take a screenshot of the photo in the camera roll, you'll be able to show that. And then the other question I got was around Regents Week. We had just heard right before break that they canceled January Regents. And so originally the Regents were supposed to be on the 25th, 26th, 27th, and 28th. So that week is no longer Regents Week. And so we don't know if they're going to require regular school. We're not sure yet. And so that's TBD. In terms of other dates, they are on here. So you can take a look, screenshot this, save it. And that's all I got for you. I hope that you are staying healthy and that you're getting tested as frequently as you possibly could, especially during these times. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Hopefully I was able to keep this short, and here's to a much better 2022.